The Galactic Federation had made a decision about Earth a very long time ago. They sent ships to study the blue planet, and what they found scared them. The planet was covered in deadly things. Giant reptiles had once ruled it. Volcanoes exploded without warning. The ground itself would shake and swallow cities. Storms the size of small moons would tear across the surface. Diseases spread through the air like invisible fire, and the creatures that lived there were always trying to eat each other. The Federation scientists gave Earth a name. They called it a Category 9. This was the highest danger rating possible. They placed warning markers around the entire solar system. They told every species in the galaxy to stay away. No one was allowed to go there. No one was allowed to make contact. The Federation believed that nothing intelligent could survive on such a terrible world. They thought any creatures living there would be too primitive and too violent to ever matter. They sealed the system and forgot about it. This was their biggest mistake. 300 years passed. The galaxy continued as it always had. Strong species took what they wanted. Weak species suffered in silence. Pirates attacked ships in the outer regions of space where no patrols ever went. Slavers captured innocent people and sold them like animals. The Federation knew about these problems but did nothing. The outer regions were too far away, too expensive to protect, too unimportant. Captain of the cargo ship Gentle Dawn knew all of this. She was a species known for their soft purple skin and gentle nature. They were not fighters. They were artists and singers and dreamers. This made them perfect targets for those who hunted the weak. Stood on the bridge of her old ship and watched her screens with growing fear. 3 warships had appeared behind them. They were vessels, and everyone knew what they did. They were slavers. They captured people from weaker species and sold them to the highest bidder. Adults would be forced to work until they died. Children would be taken to breeding farms to create more slaves. The Gentle Dawn was carrying 200 refugees. They had escaped when they attacked their colony world. For 3 weeks they had been running. Now their luck had ended. His hands shook as she opened a communication channel. She broadcast on every frequency she could reach. "This is Captain of the cargo ship Gentle Dawn. We are a civilian vessel. We are not armed. We have 200 passengers, including children. We are asking for help. Please, anyone who can hear this message, we need help." She sent the message again and again. She knew it was hopeless. This sector of space was empty. No Federation patrols came here. No one would hear her call. The commander appeared on her screen. He was a large reptile with green scales and yellow eyes. His name was, and he smiled with too many teeth. Little said, "You can stop sending your messages. No one patrols this sector. No one cares about your kind. No one is coming to save you." Felt tears running down her face. Behind her, she could hear the passengers crying. Mothers were holding their children. Old ones were praying to gods who never seemed to listen. Everyone knew what was about to happen. "Please," begged. "Let the children go. Take me instead. Take the adults. But please let the children go." Laughed. It was a cruel sound. "The children are worth the most money. They can be trained from a young age. They make the best slaves." He ended the communication. Collapsed into her chair. She had failed. She had promised to lead these people to safety, and she had failed. But she did not know that her signal had traveled farther than she thought. Far away, past the warning markers that the Federation had placed, past the signs that said dangerous and forbidden, there was a small station floating in space. This station belonged to no one the galaxy knew about. It was a listening post, and it had been quietly collecting signals for nearly 100 years. When distress call reached it, the station woke up. Machines that had been sleeping for years suddenly came to life. The message was processed, analyzed, and forwarded. It traveled faster than light toward a small blue planet that the galaxy had forgotten. It reached Earth in minutes. Admiral was eating breakfast when the alert came. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a face covered in old scars. Each scar told a story of battles he had survived. He had fought in the underground wars on Mars. He had led soldiers through the acid storms of Venus. He had been a warrior his entire life. When he heard the alarm, he put down his food and walked to the command center. His officers were already there, standing at attention. On the main screen, a message was playing. "This is Captain of the cargo ship Gentle Dawn. We are a civilian vessel. We are not armed. We have 200 passengers, including children. We are asking for help." Watched the message 3 times. His face showed no emotion, but inside, something was burning. He knew this feeling. It was the same feeling he had when he read about Earth's history. The same feeling he had when he learned that the galaxy had left his people to die alone. "Where is this ship?" he asked. Lieutenant, his navigation officer, answered quickly. "Outer Rim, sir. Sector 774. 14 hours away at maximum speed." "Who is attacking them?" "3 warships, slaver configuration." Nodded slowly. They were known throughout the galaxy as monsters. They had been capturing and selling people for centuries. The Federation did nothing to stop them because they were useful. They did the dirty work that other species did not want to do. "Prepare the fleet," said. "The indomitable, the relentless, and the unbroken. Maximum burn. I want us there in 12 hours. Hesitated. "Sir, that will push the engines past safety limits." "I know," turned to face his crew. 300 years ago, humanity sent signals into space. We hoped someone would answer. We hoped someone would tell us we were not alone. No one came. The galaxy looked at our world and decided we were not worth saving." He pointed at the screen, where his face was frozen in a moment of desperate hope. "We made a promise. If we ever heard someone calling for help the way we once did, we would answer. No matter how far, no matter how dangerous, we would answer." He looked at his officers with eyes that had seen too much death. "Prepare the fleet. We have people to save." Boarding crews moved through the Gentle Dawn like hunters in a forest. They carried shock weapons that could make a person fall down and shake until they passed out. They wore heavy armor that made them look even bigger and more frightening. Their yellow eyes glowed in the dark hallways of the old cargo ship. Captain had ordered everyone to the main cargo hold. It was the largest room on the ship, and she hoped that keeping everyone together might somehow protect them. It was a foolish hope, but it was all she had left. 200 sat huddled together on the cold metal floor. Mothers held their children close. Fathers tried to look brave even though fear was written on their faces. The elderly sat quietly, accepting what was about to happen. Some of them had lived through other attacks before. They knew what slavery meant. Stood at the front of the group. Her legs wanted to collapse, but she forced herself to stay standing. If these were her last moments as a free person, she would face them with whatever dignity she had left. The cargo hold doors opened with a loud crash. Walked in, followed by 20 of his soldiers. He looked at the way a buyer looks at animals in a market. "Separate the children from the adults," he ordered. "Young ones go to the left. Healthy adults go to the right. Old ones and sick ones stay in the middle." His soldiers moved forward. A child screamed. A mother begged. The sounds of crying filled the cargo hold. Then something strange happened. Every light on the ship flickered. The floor seemed to shake for just a moment. Looked up, confused. He opened his communication device to contact his ships. "What was that?" he demanded. The voice that answered him sounded scared. "Commander, 3 unknown vessels just arrived. They came out of faster-than-light travel right on top of us. Our sensors are going crazy. We have never seen ships like this before." Felt the first touch of worry. "What kind of ships? What species?" "Unknown, sir. They are not in any database, but Commander, they are big, much bigger than us. Their weapons are charging." Before could respond, a new voice cut through every communication channel on every ship. It was calm and cold, like ice that could speak. "This is Admiral of the Human Alliance Navy. You are engaged in piracy and attempted enslavement of innocent beings. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and surrender. Stared at his communication device. Human. He had never heard of this species. He quickly searched his database and found only one entry. It said that humans came from a sealed system, a planet so dangerous that the Federation had forbidden anyone from going there. He laughed. It had to be a trick, some minor species pretending to be powerful. No one could survive on no one could build warships in a sealed system without the Federation knowing. I do not know who you are, said into his communicator, but you are making a mistake. I am of the Dominion. We are warriors. We do not surrender to anyone. 20 seconds. Turn to his soldiers. Return to the ships. We will teach these pretenders a lesson. He left the cargo hold and ran to the airlock where his shuttle was waiting. As he flew back to his warship, he got his first look at the new arrivals. His blood went cold. The human ships were black as the void between stars. They were covered in angles and edges, built for one purpose and one purpose only: war. Each ship was 5 times the size of his own vessels. Their hulls showed the marks of countless battles, scars that had been worn with pride instead of repaired. Target the largest ship, ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. All weapons, fire everything. His gunners obeyed. 3 warships unleashed everything they had. Missiles streaked through space. Energy beams burned toward the human dreadnought. The human ship did not move. It did not try to dodge. It simply sat there as the weapons flew toward it. Then something impossible happened. A wall of light appeared in front of the human ship. Every missile exploded against it. Every energy beam scattered into nothing. The human ship was not even scratched. 15 seconds, the cold voice said. Felt real fear now. His weapons had done nothing, not a single bit of damage. These ships were beyond anything he had ever seen. But they did not surrender. They would rather die. Fire again, he commanded. Keep firing until we break through their shields. 10 seconds. The ships fired again. Again, the wall of light stopped everything. Then the human ship fired back. It was just one shot, a single beam of bright blue light that crossed the distance between ships in less than a heartbeat. It hit the lead warship exactly in the center. The warship did not explode right away. First, the light went in one side and came out the other. Then the ship started to break apart, piece by piece, like a toy being pulled apart by an angry child. Finally, the fuel cells ignited, and the entire vessel disappeared in a ball of fire. Your lead ship is destroyed, Admiral said. The next shot goes through your bridge. 5 seconds. Watched the burning debris that used to be a warship with 200 of his soldiers aboard. One shot. Just one shot had killed them all. I surrender, he whispered, then louder. We surrender. All ships power down weapons. We surrender. The communication channel went silent for a moment. Smart choice, the human admiral said. You will be boarded and taken into custody. Any resistance will be met with force. Your prisoners will be released immediately. Sat down heavily in his command chair. His hands were shaking. In all his years of raiding and slaving, he had never felt afraid. He had always been the hunter, never the prey. Now he understood what his victims felt. On the gentle dawn, the refugees watched in confusion as the soldiers suddenly stopped moving. The soldiers looked at each other, then dropped their weapons. Without saying a word, they walked back to the airlock and left the ship. Captain did not understand what was happening. She went to the bridge and looked at her sensors. What she saw made her legs finally give out, and she collapsed into her chair. 3 massive ships filled her screen. They were unlike anything in Federation records, and they were flying human flags. Humans, the monsters from the creatures that everyone said could not possibly exist. They had come. They had actually come. Put her hands over her face and cried. But for the first time in weeks, They were tears of relief. The first human that Captain saw in person was not what she expected. She had spent hours reading the old Federation files about Earth while waiting for the human boarding party. The files were full of horror. They described a world where giant animals with sharp teeth hunted anything that moved. A world where the very air could carry death in the form of invisible sickness. A world where the ground would open up and swallow cities, where water would rise and drown entire lands, where fire would fall from the sky and burn everything to ash. The creatures that survived on such a world had to be monsters. They had to be brutal and savage and cruel. This is what believed. Then walked onto her ship. Was a human female, young by the standards of her species. She had black hair tied back in a simple style and eyes that seemed to notice everything. She wore the uniform of a medical officer, and she carried a bag full of supplies. Behind her came 20 more humans, some in medical uniforms and others in the heavy armor of soldiers. The soldiers scared. They moved like predators, their eyes constantly checking corners and doorways. Their bodies were built for violence. Even standing still, they looked like they could kill with their bare hands. But walked past them and went straight to the refugees. A small child was sitting alone, crying. She had been separated from her mother during the chaos and could not find her. Her arm was hurt, probably from when the soldiers had pushed through the crowd. Knelt down beside her. Her movements were slow and gentle, like someone approaching a frightened animal. She took a small device from her bag and turned it on. When she spoke, the device translated her words into. "Hello, little one," said. Her voice was soft and warm. "My name is, I'm a doctor. I help people who are hurt. Can I look at your arm?" The child stared at her with big, wet eyes. She had never seen a human before. She had heard stories about how they ate other species and destroyed planets for fun. But this human was smiling at her, and the smile looked real. The child nodded slowly. Examined the arm carefully. It was not broken, just bruised. She applied some medicine that would help with the pain and wrapped the arm in soft bandages. The whole time, she kept talking to the child in a calm voice. "There you go, that was very brave. You are a brave girl. Now let us find your mother, okay?" She took the child's hand and led her through the crowd, asking others if they knew where the girl's family was. Within minutes, she had reunited the child with her crying mother. Watched all of this in silence. Her understanding of humans was changing with every passing moment. She saw other human medics moving through the crowd, treating injuries and offering water and food. She saw soldiers standing guard, but their weapons were pointed at the floor, not at the refugees. She saw humans talking through their translation devices, asking if anyone needed help, if anyone was missing family members, if anyone had special medical needs. These were not monsters, these were people. Then Admiral came aboard. He was different from the others. Where the medics were gentle and the soldiers were alert, the Admiral was something else entirely. He walked like a force of nature. His face was covered in old scars that told stories of violence and survival. His eyes were dark and carried a weight that could not describe. He had seen things, done things, things that had left marks deeper than the ones on his skin. He was terrifying. But when he approached, he stopped at a respectful distance and lowered his head slightly. "Captain," he said. His translation device turned his words into, but she could hear the strange sounds of human language beneath them. "I am Admiral of the Human Alliance Navy. Your people are safe now." Did not know what to say. She had prepared herself for death just hours ago. Now she was standing in front of a being from a forbidden world, a creature that should not exist. "Why?" she finally asked. "Why did you come? We are strangers. We are not even the same species. We have nothing to offer you." Was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer than she expected. 300 years ago, my people looked up at the stars and wondered if we were alone. We built machines to send messages into the darkness. We asked if anyone was out there. We hoped someone would answer." He paused, and something like old pain moved across his face. No one answered. We later learned that the Federation had already declared our world forbidden. They looked at Earth and saw only death. They decided we were not worth knowing, so we grew up alone. We fought our own wars. We solved our own problems. We became strong because no one was there to help us. Felt something breaking in her heart. She had never thought about what it might feel like to be completely alone in the universe. "When we finally broke through the barriers and reached space," continued, "we made a promise. We swore that if we ever heard someone calling for help the way we once called, we would answer. We would not let anyone feel the loneliness that we felt." He looked around at the refugees, at the children being held by their parents, at the elderly who had survived another terrible day. "You called, we came, that is all there is." Felt tears running down her face again. What will happen now? What will happen to us? "We have a colony world that has been prepared for refugees. Clean water, good soil, safe skis. If you want, we will take you there. You can build a new home." And the softness left his eyes. For just a moment, saw something ancient and dangerous looking back at her. It was the look of a predator. The look of something that had clawed its way to the top of a world that tried to kill it every single day. "They will face human justice," he said. "We have laws about slavery. The punishment is severe." "What is the punishment?" Did not answer. He simply looked toward the airlock where prisoners were being led onto human ships. They were wearing restraints and they were not resisting. Their arrogance was gone. Their cruel smiles had disappeared. They looked like what they truly were, cowards who had spent their lives hurting those weaker than themselves. Now they had met something stronger. Watched them go. Part of her wanted to feel sorry for them. They were a gentle people. They did not believe in revenge. But when she thought about the children who had been crying, about the families that they had torn apart on her, about all the innocent lives that had been destroyed by these slavers, she found that she did not feel sorry at all. She felt something she had never felt before. She felt safe. The Grand Assembly of the Galactic Federation was the largest building on the capital world. It was a massive dome made of crystal and metal, designed to hold representatives from every species in the galaxy. For 10,000 years, the great decisions of civilization had been made inside its walls. Today, the dome was filled with chaos. Representatives from hundreds of species crowded the chamber, all talking at once. Some were shouting. Some were crying. Some were simply sitting in stunned silence, trying to understand what had happened. The humans had revealed themselves. For 300 years, the Federation had believed that the Sol system was empty. They had been certain that nothing intelligent could survive on Earth. They had sealed the system and forgotten about it, confident that they would never have to worry about it again. Now 3 human warships were orbiting the Federation capital, and their weapons were more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Chancellor, the leader of the Federation, tried to restore order. He was an ancient species that looked like a tree made of living crystal. His kind was known for wisdom and patience, but even his patience was being tested today. "Silence," he called out, his voice amplified by the chamber systems. "We will have order. The human ambassador has requested to speak and we will listen." Slowly, the noise died down. All eyes turned to the podium at the center of the chamber. A human female walked to the podium. Her name was, and she was humanity's first official ambassador to the Galactic Federation. She was small compared to many of the species in the room, but she carried herself with complete confidence. She wore a simple black uniform with no decorations or symbols of rank. She did not need them. Everyone in the room already knew what humanity was capable of. "Thank you, Chancellor," said. Her translation device sent her words out in every language spoken in the Federation. "I know that our appearance has caused concern. I know that you have many questions. I will try to answer them." A tall being stood up. He was a representative and his voice was filled with anger. "Answer this, then. Your ships attacked our vessels without warning. You killed hundreds of our citizens. By what right do you commit such acts of war?" Did not flinch. "Your vessels were engaged in piracy and slavery. They were attacking a civilian ship carrying refugees, including children. They had no legal authority to be in that sector. They were criminals. They were citizens. You had no right to judge them. They forfeited their rights when they fired on innocents." His voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. "The 47 captured during the operation were given a trial according to human law. They were found guilty of piracy, attempted enslavement, and crimes against sapient beings." The representative leaned forward. "And what sentence did your so-called court give them?" "They were executed." The chamber exploded into noise again. Representatives shouted accusations. Some demanded action against the humans. Others called for calm. A few simply sat in their seats, unable to speak. Waited for the noise to die down. When it finally did, she continued. "For 300 years, the Federation knew about the slave trade. You knew that innocent people were being captured and sold. You knew about the breeding farms and the labor camps. You knew, and you did nothing." She pointed at the representative. "Your government has committed crimes against almost every species in this room. You have stolen children from their families. You have worked entire generations to death. You have caused more suffering than any war in galactic history, and the Federation let you do it." The representative tried to speak, but cut him off. "Humanity will no longer allow this. From this day forward, any ship engaged in piracy or slavery will be treated as an enemy combatant. Any government that supports these activities will face consequences. This is not a request. This is a statement of fact." Chancellor raised a crystalline limb. "Ambassador, we understand your position, but you must understand ours. The Galactic Federation has maintained peace for 10,000 years. We have rules. We have procedures. We cannot simply allow a new species to arrive and start making demands." "Then change your rules," said simply. "It is not that easy." "It should be." Looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of species. "When my people first reached for the stars, we sent messages asking for contact. We hoped to find friends. Instead, we found only silence. We later learned that the Federation had sealed our system. You looked at our world and decided we were too dangerous to contact. You left us alone in the darkness." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We survived. We grew. We built ships that your engineers cannot understand and weapons that your scientists cannot explain. We could have come here as conquerors. We could have taken revenge for the centuries of abandonment, but we did not." Her voice softened just slightly. "We came because someone called for help. 200 innocent people were about to be enslaved, and we could not let that happen. We came because we remember what it feels like to be alone and afraid and forgotten." The chamber was silent now. Even the representative had stopped shouting. "Humanity does not want war," said. "We want recognition, a seat on this council, and a single promise from every species present." Chancellor leaned forward. "What promise?" "No more sealed systems. No more abandoned worlds. No more species left to die alone because you decided they were too dangerous or too primitive or too different." Eyes swept across the assembly. "The next time someone sends a distress call, you will answer. Not because you are forced to, but because it is the right thing to do." She stood up. "And if you do not answer, we will, every time, without exception. Learn this lesson today. I hope the rest of the galaxy can learn it without bloodshed." The silence stretched on for a long time. Finally, Chancellor spoke. "You ask us to change 10,000 years of policy. You ask us to spend resources protecting those who cannot protect themselves. You ask us to put ourselves at risk for strangers." "Yes," said, That is exactly what we ask. And if we refuse? Smiled. It was not a threatening smile, but it was not a friendly one either. It was the smile of someone who had already won and was simply waiting for everyone else to realize it. Then humanity will do what we have always done. We will survive. We will protect the weak. We will answer every call for help that reaches our ears. And slowly, species by species, the galaxy will learn that there is a better way. She turned and walked back to her seat. The chamber remained silent. 3 days later, the Federation voted to grant humanity full membership on the Council. The vote was not even close. Everyone understood the same truth. The had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 year had passed since the humans revealed themselves to the galaxy. Everything had changed. The outer regions of space, once lawless and dangerous, had become quiet. Pirates who had operated freely for centuries now hid in the deepest corners of the void, afraid to show themselves. Slaver fleets that had terrorized dozens of species had simply disappeared. Some had surrendered to authorities. Others had tried to fight the human patrols. Those who fought did not survive. The human warships moved through the galaxy like guardian spirits from old legends. They asked for nothing in return. They demanded no payment. They simply appeared whenever someone called for help, and they stayed until the danger had passed. Species that had lived in fear for generations now slept peacefully. Children who would have been taken by slavers now grew up free. Colonies that would have been raided now prospered and expanded. All because someone had answered when they called. Captain stood on a hillside covered in purple grass and watched the sunset. The sky turned orange and gold and pink as the local star dipped below the horizon. In the valley below, lights were beginning to appear in windows as the colony prepared for evening. This world had no name when the humans brought them here. They had decided to call it Promise because that is what it represented, a promise kept, a future earned. 200 refugees had landed on this world 1 year ago. Now there were almost 1,000. Others from other destroyed colonies had heard about the safe haven and had come. They brought nothing but the clothes on their backs and hope in their hearts. The humans helped them all. They provided food and medicine and building materials. They taught the how to farm this new world, how to filter its water, how to build homes that could withstand its storms. They asked for nothing in return except the chance to help. Still did not fully understand them. Footsteps approached from behind. She did not need to turn around to know who it was. Admiral walked like no one else she had ever met. Each step was purposeful, certain, the walk of someone who had never known doubt. He stood beside her and looked at the sunset. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "It is beautiful," finally said, "this world." "It is," agreed. "Thank you for finding it for us." "It was nothing. We had the coordinates of many suitable planets. This one seemed right for your people." Shook her head. "Not just the planet, everything, the rescue, the supplies, the protection, everything. I do not know how to repay you." Turned to look at her. His face was softer in the fading light. "You repay us by being happy, by being safe, by building lives that the slavers wanted to steal from you. That seems too easy." "Sometimes the right thing is also the easy thing." He looked back at the sunset. "My people spent too long alone. We had no one to help us, no one to teach us, no one to show us that the universe could be kind. We do not want anyone else to feel that loneliness." A young human soldier came running up the hill, recognized him as one of the officers who had helped establish the colony. He was barely more than a boy by human standards, but he had already seen more action than most soldiers twice his age. "Admiral," said, catching his breath, "we have received another distress signal, a mining colony in the sector. They are being attacked by raiders." Took the small screen that offered him. He read the information quickly, his expression unchanging. "How many colonists?" 300, sir, mixed species, mostly, and a few. How many raiders? Unknown, at least 5 ships, probably more. Felt her heart tighten. 300 people, families, children, just like her people had been 1 year ago. Handed the screen back to, "Tell Captain to take the Relentless, full speed. I want a support fleet ready to follow if needed." "Yes, sir," started to leave, then hesitated. "Sir, what if the raiders have reinforcements? What if it is a trap?" Looked at him with something like amusement. "Then we will destroy their reinforcements as well. The message must be clear. Anyone who attacks the innocent will face human justice. No exceptions. No excuses." Nodded and ran back down the hill. Watched him go. "You never hesitate," she said. "You never ask if it is worth the risk." "Of course not." Turned to face her fully. "Somewhere in the galaxy right now people are scared. They are calling for help. They are praying that someone, anyone, will come to save them. That is what we thought about during all those years of silence. That is what we felt when no one answered our calls." He looked up at the stars that were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "I never want anyone to wait the way we waited. I never want anyone to feel forgotten the way we were forgotten. So we answer every call. We go to every battle. We save everyone we can. And those you cannot save." The pain that crossed his face was old and deep. "We remember them, we carry them with us, and we try harder next time." The last light of sunset faded. The stars came out in full, thousands of points of light scattered across the darkness. Somewhere up there, the Relentless was already moving toward another rescue. Somewhere up there, another group of frightened people was about to learn that they were not alone. "When I was a child," said softly, "my mother used to tell me stories about guardian spirits, beings of great power who watched over the innocent and punished the wicked. I always thought they were just stories." She looked at. "Now I know they are real. They come from a world called Earth, and they call themselves human." Smiled. It was a rare expression on his face, but it was genuine. "We are not spirits. We are just people who got tired of watching others suffer. There is nothing special about us except stubbornness." Stubbornness. "We refuse to accept that evil must win. We refuse to believe that the strong must always hurt the weak. We refuse to give up no matter how hard things become." He shrugged. "On our world, the creatures that give up die. Only the stubborn survive." Laughed. It was a sound she had almost forgotten how to make during the dark years of running and hiding. But here, on this safe world, under these peaceful stars, she could laugh again. "Then I am glad your world made you stubborn," she said. "So are we." Put his hand on her shoulder briefly, a gesture of friendship and respect. "Take care of your people, Captain. Build something beautiful here. That is the best way to honor everything we have fought for." He turned and walked back down the hill, toward the landing area where his shuttle waited. Watched him go, then she looked up at the stars one more time. Somewhere out there they were hunting. Somewhere out there, innocents were being saved. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was slowly learning that kindness could be stronger than cruelty. The universe had abandoned humanity for 300 years. Now humanity was making sure no one would ever be abandoned again. Smiled and walked back toward her colony, toward her people, toward the future that the humans had made possible. The new dawn had arrived. And it was beautiful.